أهلا بيكم في دروس الأحياء للصف الثاني ثانوي. Today's lecture we will start discussing the sensitivity in living organisms, and we will start by studying sensitivity in plants. So let's begin. One of the most prominent sensitivity reactions is the response to touch and darkness. If you study, for example, the mimosa leaflet, this is the mimosa leaflet. See, if you touch it, the leaflets drop down. See that? If the same thing happens in darkness, by the way, the leaflets change its position, its direction. And other neighboring leaflets also soon follow, till it's seen in all leaflets. In daytime, leaflets are horizontal. In dark, in nighttime, they hang down, and this phenomena is explained as sleep movements. They undergo sleep movements. These movements can be explained according to cell turgidity. يعني لما تملى السيل بالمية الورقة هتبقى في وضعها الطبيعي. لما الورقة تفضي المية اللي فيها يعني it will drop down. الميموسا ليها primary rachis اللي هو العرق الأساسي ده اللي هو شايل الورق، وفي آخره في secondary rachis شايل أربعة secondary rachis، وبداية كل ريكس فيه انتفاخ كده بيسموه البولفينس. This is the pulvinus, this is the primary rachis, secondary pulvinus, secondary rachis, and leaflets. These pulvina acts as joints for the movements of rachis and the leaflets on it. When the leaflet is touched, or at night, the primary rachis hangs down, and the swollen structures, the pulvinus, act as joints for this type of movements. This leads, when the shrinking happens, this leads to water diffusing to the neighboring tissues. So the water itself is void of water now. The leaflet itself is void of water now. When the stimulus is removed, they regain their turgidity and the leaflets open once more. So the opening and closure is explained by the action of water. The cell turgid with water, so it's open. It's not turgid with water, so it fills down. It's found out that the cell walls of the lower half pulvinus are more sensitive than those of the upper half pulvinus, and they play a main role in this movement. Another type of movement called tropism. Tropism is known as the growth of roots and stems towards away a certain stimulus or object, or light, for example. The growth depends on many factors such as light, humidity, and gravity, and it's the distribution of these factors in equal forms around the plant that prevents curvatures. If it's not distributed equally around the plant, curvatures results, and curvature is known as tropism. Types of tropism. Let's talk about phototropism first. Experiment here. Bring a seedling and on a cork disc floating on the surface of water in a beaker, and put the beaker in a light-proof box. At one side, leave a hole in the box to admit some light. What you will observe that the stem will be inclined towards the source of light while the roots grow away from it. Understand this, please. The stems grow towards the light while the roots away from the light. It's due to the unequal growth of the two sides in both the root and stem. But how do you explain this? I mean, what's responsible for the unequal growth, and why does curvature in the root differ from that of the stem? Root goes away from light while the stems grow towards the light. Bosian Johnson found that the coleoptile of an oat grain loses its ability to bend towards the light if the tip is cut off. He cut off the tip, so it will not grow towards the light. But when he refixed that tip again with gelatin, the plant grew towards the light. When he separated the tip and put a mica sheet between it and the rest of the plant, there was no curvature, no growth towards the light or away from the light. This means that inside the tip there are certain substance that's responsible for the curvature of the plant towards the stimulus. And this substance passes through gelatin but does not pass through mica sheet. These substances are auxins, cold auxins, and the main one is the indole acetic acid, IAA. Okay? Curvature towards the light is the result of unequal growth of two sides due to the unequal concentration of auxins on the two sides of the coleoptile. Now we know this cause of the curvature, the unequal distribution of auxins. But why is a difference response between the stem and the root? We will know that right now. Now, a scientist called Wendt exposed an oat coleoptile to unidirectional illumination. Then he cut off the tip and placed it in 2 blocks of agar. This is a jelly-like substance and separated by metallic sheet. He measured the concentration of the auxins in both sides. He found out that the auxins accumulated in the side away from the light. He measured the concentration of auxins in each block and found out that the great amount of auxins accumulated in the side away from the light. Now, this means that the auxins move from the side facing the light to the far dark side. What will they do? The auxins, when moving away from the light to the non-illuminated side, this leads to elongation of cells on that side, which is the non-illuminated side. Thus, curvature towards light occurs. يعني لو في الضوء جاي من هنا، الأوكسنز هتهرب من هنا لهنا للدارك سايد. وطالما تركيزها هنا في الستيم، خدوا بالكم لأن الريسبونس بيفرق عن الروت. طالما الكونسنتريشن عالي في الستيم on the dark side، السايد ده هيكبر أكتر من السايد ده، فيحصل curve towards the light. Okay, this is called positive phototropic. The stem is known to be positive phototropic. Now, in the root, there's a different story. The opposite effect happens. Elongation of the cells is inhibited in the dark side, while the illuminated side continues to grow. The root curvature bends away from the light, and the root is known to be negative phototropic. ليه الديفرنس of behavior ده؟ لأن the concentration of auxins required for the elongation of the root cells is less than that required for the elongation of the stem cells. فلما الauxins يحصل لها accumulation, they inhibit the cell elongation in the roots, whereas it activates elongation of the stem cells. فهيحصل عكس الستوري. اوكي they inhibit يعني برضو هتهرب للدارك سايد، لكن هنا هيحصل inhibition. الالونجيشن هيزيد في الناحيه اللي هي ناحيه الضوء، فتبعد عن الكيرف، يبقى بعيد عن الضوء. في نوع تاني من التروبيزم اسمه جيوتروبيزم، ده في الجرافيتي، الستيمولوس هو الجرافيتي. طبعا معروف ان اي بلانت الستيم grows upwards and the root grows downwards، وكان مفهوم ان الروتس downwards لانها بتبحث عن النيوترينتس يعني في السويل، وده مش حقيقي، لان هي roots developed downwards بسبب الeffect of gravity. وعملوا كده تجربة انه if you place a plant upside down for a certain time the root grows downwards away from the soil and towards the gravity, while the stem grows upwards في اتجاه السويل يعني away from gravity. Okay, experiment was done. A number of seeds are germinated in a soil moistened with water. The plummules اللي هي البراعم بتاعت الستم، البرعم اللي هيدي الستم بعد كده اللي هو directed لفوق يعني، grow vertically upwards. الراديكلز اللي هي البراعم بتاع الروتس اللي هتدي الروتس بعد كده، الراديكلز will grow downwards. When you put one seedling on its side and leave it for several days, you will notice that the stem grew up against gravity and the root grows down with the gravity. So the stems are negative geotropic while the roots are positive geotropic. Curvature is due to the variation in growth of the two sides of the organ as a result of unequal distribution of auxins. طبعا لما البلانت يبقى في الناتشرال فيرتيكال بوزيشن يبقى في توزيع حوالين يعني equal distribution لكل الاليمنتس حوالين البلانتس، وده ما يخليش ناحيه to grow faster عن الناحيه الثانيه. في horizontal positions بقى الauxins accumulate in the lower side of both the root and the stem، فهيحصل التأثير العكسي، الستيم هي grow away from the gravity and the root towards the gravity. Okay, ده explained بالاccumulation of auxins. زي ما قلنا قبل كده auxins activate the cells of the lower side of the stem which elongate more، لكن on the contrary accumulation of auxins on the lower side of the root inhibits activity. هي بس المهم تعرف الفرق بين accumulation of auxins في الروت وفي الستيم. اوكي في الستيم stimulates growth، لكن في الروت inhibits growth. So that's why the root bends downwards. في نوع تاني من التروبيزم اسمه هيدروتروبيزم، يعني في الميه، الستيمولوس هو الميه. جابوا تجربه وعاءين زرعوا فيهم 2 seedlings. الوعاء الاولاني رشوه بالتساوي يعني بالميه at regular intervals، لكن الوعاء الثاني حطوا على الجنب بس ميه، فبقى الوسط ناشف. لاحظوا ايه؟ ان الروت grows towards the water. See that roots in the first trough will be observed to grow straight down, لكن in the second trough will grow towards the water at the sides of the trough. In the first trough اللي هو البلانت كان عادي وكان المية بتتحط فيه عادي في كل الوعاء. Roots grow vertically due to equal distribution of water in the soil. لكن في الإناء الثاني، الوعاء الثاني اللي هو فيه seedling اتراوت من ناحية واحدة بس من الإناء، يعني في الوسط بقى ناشف. As a result, auxins accumulates in the side facing the water and inhibits the elongation, while the cells on the far side continue their normal growth, which leads to curvature of the root. Again, auxins accumulates in the side facing water. يبقى هنا احنا بنتكلم عن الروتس. يبقى هنا هيحصل stimulation ولا inhibition؟ هيحصل inhibition. فبيحصل inhibition للإلونجيشن. لكن السيلز على الناحية التانية اللي هي مش الأوكسنز ملهاش دعوة بيها. They will continue their normal growth which leads to curvature of the root towards the water. هنا في الحالة دي بتسموا الروت positive hydrotropic. Well, this is a simple idea about sensitivity in plants. I hope you got the maximum benefit from this lecture, and thank you very much for watching.